there was this conversation that was brewing about, did the entities know she was pregnant? And if so, should they have allowed her to perform? That was one. Two, was there any repercussions that could come as a result of that? And because of that, I decided to talk about pregnancy discrimination. Welcome back. Welcome back. This is The People's Voice. I am Trey Evans and I am The People's Voice. Thank you again for checking out the podcast this week. As always, it is greatly appreciated. As always, we say thank you to those who are back listening to us again this week. The support is greatly appreciated and does not go unnoticed. Also, to those of you who are new to the podcast, listening to us for the first time, thank you for taking time out of your day to listen to the podcast. As always, if this information is valuable to you and you feel that you can share it and it might enhance and uplift your community and also your network and family and friends, we do ask that you please share this information. Information is invaluable if it's not shared. So please do that. And you can do that by subscribing to the podcast. Podcast is up every Friday and new videos appear on YouTube every Friday at 3 p.m. So thank you, and thank you. So today I want to talk about pregnancy discrimination. And I know that as soon as I say that, there may be women who are listening to this who cringe, saying, how is this man going to talk about pregnancy discrimination? And trust me, I thought about this long and hard before I decided to crack open this microphone and to talk about this topic. But let me explain why I wanted to talk about this topic. I wanted to talk about this because the Super Bowl was this past Sunday, and the halftime performer was Rhianna. For those of you who may not know, I don't know who doesn't know who Rhianna is, but she's a very popular singer. She does various forms of music, popular music, and she put on a show, and it was okay, right? It didn't blow me away. I did watch it. It didn't blow me away, but she's got a lot of hit songs. So it was definitely the type of concert that you could, really, excuse me, as I shift my chair here, and I know the mic sounds crazy. It was the type of show that, because she's such a popular singer that, you could, bop to some of her songs that she performed. But anyway, in that, during the performance, if you haven't seen it, it's been all over YouTube, all over the world at this point. She reveals, or I guess I shouldn't say reveals, but basically when she was doing her show, she's pregnant. And, I guess it was her way of revealing to the world that she was pregnant. Apparently this is not apparently, apparently this is her second child. And, she recently had a child, I think last year. So now this is her new addition to her family. In any event, the reason I'm talking about it is because as the week has gone on, many people have talked about the performance, and there were some interesting comments that were made regarding the performance. And some of those comments were regarding her being pregnant. And I've heard from men and women. Now, I want to make this very clear. Heard both from men and women, and just, in conversations and just listening to various media outlets, social media outlets, and comments that some people were saying, well, she should have not should have let. Some people were speculating whether or not the NFL knew she was pregnant, or Apple Music, who apparently was the host company this year, or the promotional company this year for the Super Bowl. In any event, people were speculating whether or not these entities, A, knew that she was pregnant, B, if they knew she was pregnant, would they have let her perform, right? Given that, again, some of the feedback, and this is overall, there's been on both sides where people say it was a lackluster performance. Like I said, me personally, I wasn't blown away by it, but I didn't think it was, a bad performance. Like I said, she's got a million hit songs, so I think it's a 13-minute show. Somewhere in there, you're going to hear something that you like. But in that, there was this conversation that was brewing about, did the entities know she was pregnant? And if so, should they have allowed her to perform? That was one. Two, was there any repercussions that could come as a result of that? And because of that, I decided to talk about pregnancy discrimination. And the reason I wanted to talk about that is because, drum roll please, you cannot discriminate against a woman as an employer because she is pregnant. And I want to make that very clear right from the start, so there's no confusion about where I'm going to go with this. So what I want to do today is talk about pregnancy discrimination, what it is, what you cannot do, some of the laws and the rules around it, and then talk about, some of the cases that have been tried here in the United States. And you'd be surprised about some of the companies that have wrongly either attempted to fire women because they were pregnant, attempted to reduce their responsibilities. It just goes on and on. So today I'm talking about pregnancy discrimination. And so, as you all know, when I start these type of topics, any topic, I like to start with a definition so we can kind of get it off to the races, and then we can go from there. So, pregnancy discrimination. What is pregnancy discrimination? So first of all, let me define that so we all understand what that is. So pregnancy discrimination, and I had the definition up, and of course I got into my own area here and misplaced the definition. Okay, here we go. Pregnancy discrimination. Pregnancy discrimination is a type of employment discrimination that occurs when expectant women are fired, not hired, or otherwise discriminated against due to their pregnancy or intention to become pregnant. It goes on here to say common forms of pregnancy discrimination include, again, not being hired due to a visible pregnancy or the likelihood of becoming pregnant, being fired after informing an employer of one's pregnancy, being fired after maternity leave, having their pay docked because of a pregnancy, and so on and so forth. So I think you get the point that I'm trying to make here. So again, just in a basic definition, pregnant Pregnancy discrimination is a type of employment discrimination that occurs when expectant women are not expectant women are fired, not hired, and otherwise discriminated against due to their pregnancy. And again, I was talking about this because of the Super Bowl performance by Rhianna, who I don't really know how do you predict how many months a woman is pregnant, but I assume that since she did have a stomach, not a stomach, but her stomach was showing. Please don't kill me. Don't kill me. I'm treading lightly here. Since she was showing, based on her stomach, she looked like she's a few months, I don't know if it's 3 months. I don't know how many months, but she's clearly pregnant. So there are laws in the United States, and I'm focusing on the United States. I'm not going to go all around the world, that protect women from pregnancy discrimination. And I want to kind of go through that. And so we have a little bit of an understanding of some of the protections in place to prevent pregnancy discrimination. And again, I think this will be helpful for all individuals involved, but specifically women, since women are the ones who become pregnant. So the first law that is on the books for protecting women against pregnancy discrimination is actually the 1964 Civil Rights Act. And I know, people may not have realized that, but I'm going to read right here, and I'm reading directly from the EEOC, which is the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission. And this is the governing body of the United States that kind of oversees employment laws. So this is coming right from their site. So it says, the Civil Rights Act of 1964 was amended by the Pregnancy Discrimination Act, which is called Title VII, and it prohibits sex discrimination, including pregnancy discrimination. Pregnancy discrimination under Title VII can be based on current pregnancy, so you can't discriminate against a woman for current pregnancy, past pregnancies, or potential pregnancies, as kind of noted in the definition that I was reading. So even if a woman is saying her and her spouse are planning to begin their family or to extend their family, create even a larger family, you as an employer cannot say, well, you can't work here because we only want to hire or have women working in our organization that are not expecting children. And this kind of goes right into what I was discussing regarding Rhianna, because as I told you, let me modify that. Some of the feedback that I heard personally and then read verse on some of the comments and heard through some of the social media and media platforms is that she should have, the question was, did she reveal it before? And if she did, why would the NFL, Apple Music allow her to perform? Or did she not know and did she hide it? Blah, 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 blah. But in any event, the Title VII, which is the Pregnancy Discrimination Act, clearly says that even if she presented that she was pregnant, you couldn't discriminate against her anyway. You can't tell her, well, you can't work here because you're getting ready to have a child. So that was the first act. That's the first law. So the first law, which was actually originally, its foundation is from the Civil Rights Act of 1964, but it was amended, which is the Pregnancy Discrimination Act. I believe that was amended and put on the books in 1978, but I'll fact check myself on that before I close out here. So that was the first law, the Pregnancy Discrimination Act, Title VII. The second act is the ADA, which is the Americans with Disability Act. Now, when I read that, I was like, well, that's kind of loose to refer to a pregnancy as a disability, right? But again, this is the definition from the EEOC. This is not Trey Evans' definition. I'm clearly just reading from what is here on their site. But the second law that protects women from pregnancy discrimination, pregnancy bias, is the Americans with Disability Act. And it says here, the ADA prohibits the discrimination against an applicant or employee based on a disability. This disabilities include a disability related to pregnancy, such as diabetes that develop during pregnancy, because, not to get deep into medical terms, I'm not a medical professional, so I want to make that clear. But when women are pregnant, some women, sometimes they develop certain health issues. It may be high blood pressure, hypertension, diabetes. In any event, the Americans with Disability Act prevents an individual from discriminating against a woman if she develops a symptom or develops a health issue as a result of a pregnancy, which then she's not allowed to work or can't work as she did because she has to attend to her health issue. But kind of going back, so the second law that prevents discrimination against pregnant women is the ADA, which is the Americans with Disability Act. And again, it prohibits discrimination of an applicant or an employee based on a disability, including a disability related to a pregnancy. And again, it gives certain examples. It says such as diabetes. Also, if a woman becomes impaired in some way because of the pregnancy, they can't be discriminated against. So there are varying levels of what protections fall under ADA and also Title VII. But those are the two laws that are on the books that protect women from pregnancy discrimination. And I'll put this in the link on the podcast and also on my social media, so you can, anyone who's interested in reading this through, you can definitely do that as well. So those are the two. So what situations or what elements of pregnancy, of discrimination, does that cover, right? Because you have these two laws, but what does it cover? So here, again, I'm reading from the EEOC site. It says there are various aspects of employment that cannot be discriminated against, or women cannot be discriminated against when they're pregnant. First of all, there can't be any discrimination in the hiring or job application and selection process. So you can't say to a woman, if she comes in for an interview and she's pregnant, you can't say, well, we can't hire you. You can't fill out an application because you're pregnant. That's discrimination, and you will be sued for that. Owners, managers. So I will explain also some of the cases, like I said earlier, about some of the companies that have been sued for this. You'll be surprised. Secondly, you can't discriminate for pay, salary, job assignments, or promotions. So you can't tell a woman that she can't be promoted because she's pregnant. That's, and again, I as I'm talking about this, I know some people are listening and like, well, duh, right? But again, because Rhianna kind of put a spotlight on this, so to speak, a lot of conversations that I heard, I was like, it doesn't, and I don't want to get too much into the conversations, but it was just like, well, it's not the same. It's the Super Bowl and da da da. And I'm like, it doesn't matter. It's because her job is, because she's a high profile individual, doesn't change the fact that, what is and what isn't discrimination. But okay, I'm let me digress. So, what situations fall under discrimination? Number one, you can't discriminate in terms of hiring or job application if a woman's pregnant. You can't discriminate for pay or salary and job assignments or promotions. You can't say, well, we're not going to promote you because you're pregnant and we need somebody to fill a role. You're not going to be here. You can't do that. Training, employee benefits. You definitely can't deny a woman health benefits because they're pregnant. And, a woman may start at a position in a company and then, 3 months later, I don't know, she begins to start her family or adds to her family. And then you say, well, we can't provide you health benefits. Can't do that. And then, of course, you can't fire a woman from a job because she's pregnant. You can't reduce hours. You can't have that a reason for layoffs, targeting a pregnant woman. If a company decides to do layoffs and they say, well, we're going to lay this employee off because she's pregnant. These are things that you cannot do under ADA, which is the American with Disabilities Act, and also Title VII, which is the Pregnancy Discrimination Act. And then it goes on to talk about, again, you can't harass a woman for being pregnant. Sometimes there have been cases where, women have been either harassed or have been pressured, if you will, to consider leaving a position or not taking a position once it's revealed that they are, pregnant or expecting a child. So these are things that you can't do. And a lot of this should be common sense, I know, but, we live in the type of world where individuals have this strange way of thinking, in my opinion. So I just wanted to cover that. So the two acts, the two laws, if you got nothing else, because I know I'm talking a lot, if you got nothing else, there are two laws on the books that protect pregnant women. This is Title VII, which is the Pregnancy Discrimination Act. And then you also have the ADA, which is the American with Disabilities Act. These two laws are responsible for protecting women against pregnancy discrimination. Now, Rhianna is not the only high-profile woman that had to deal with this. Currently, right now, there is a pending case with Dearica? Yes, Dearica Hamby. Dearica Hamby, who plays in the WNBA. Now, she recently has gotten traded to the from the Los Angeles. She's got traded to the Los Angeles Sparks. That's the WNBA team, women's basketball team, for those who may not know what the WNBA is. So the Professional Basketball League for Women. There is a basketball player by the name of Dearica Hamby. She was playing for the Las Vegas Aces, which is a basketball team in Las Vegas. She's gotten traded to the Los Angeles Sparks, right? Okay. Now, here's the thing. She got traded, but there was some controversy or some questions, if you will, by her former team because, and again, this is documented. This is not, me just, making this up. You can read this. Matter of fact, I'm reading this article from Yahoo Sports. Her previous team, the Las Vegas Aces, she is claiming that she was discriminated against due to her second pregnancy. Now, she already has a child. She's in the process of having another child. And what is being discussed here is that she was given a new contract at the end of last season, I believe. And basically she's saying that the team accused her of signing that contract while knowing that she was pregnant for a second time. So basically the team is saying, we wouldn't have given you that contract if we knew you was pregnant. Again, this is a clear case of pregnancy discrimination. Now, this case is still, it doesn't look like she's formally begun the legal process, but she has made it public that the team basically was expressing regret for signing her to this new extension of her contract, knowing that she was without the knowledge of knowing that she was pregnant with her second child. So again, I wanted to highlight that because, like I said, this started because of Rhianna and her performance and some of the conversation regarding the pregnancy as she revealed it during the show. But here we have another high profile woman, right? The WNBA star Dearica Hamby, who is going through this same issue, or not the same issue because Rhianna wasn't discriminated against. In Rhianna's case, it's more chatter, but here is a clear case of what looks like a clear case of a team who was potentially having, air quotes, buyer's remorse for signing this WNBA star to a new deal without the knowledge of knowing that she was pregnant. So here you have another case that is a clear case, or looks to be a clear case of pregnancy discrimination. But again, this is still pending. It doesn't look like here, as I'm reading through the article, it doesn't look like she's begun the process of legal action. She's basically, it says here, she was hesitant to respond about whether she would be pursuing legal action against the team. So this is something that she's expressed publicly, but legal action hasn't been taken. But going into legal action, and as I said, as I get ready to close out here, you'd be surprised about the companies that have had lawsuits placed against them for pregnancy discrimination. So let me talk about that. Here you have, and I'm looking through, and again, if you want to, you can go to EEOC.gov. They have a ton of information regarding pregnancy discrimination and also some of the court cases that have been levied against companies as a result of pregnancy discrimination. So here they go through notable victories, and it lists some of the companies that have been sued by individuals for pregnancy discrimination. And I'm not going to go through all of them, but I'm telling you, there was a few that stood out to me, and I was like, whoa. You had a case back in 2014 against Weight Watchers. And I'm going to read exactly what they stated here about the case. They said the EEOC filed a lawsuit against Weight Watchers under Title VII, okay, the Pregnancy Discrimination Act, alleging that one location refused to hire an applicant as a group leader because she was pregnant. This is Weight Watchers. The applicant was a lifetime member of Weight Watchers who has successfully met and maintained her weight goals before becoming pregnant. According to the EEOC, when Weight Watchers learned of the applicant's pregnancy, they told her that they would not hire a pregnant woman and refused to consider her any further. Just flat out told her, no, you pregnant. We're not hiring you. Needless to say, court case was presented against Weight Watchers, and Weight Watchers looks like they settled here for $45,000. But this is in 2014. This is not some, far off case here. This is in 2014. One other notable one, and again, if you want to, you can go to the site and I'll post a link as well where you can see some of the cases against some companies, and you're like, wow. The other company was Subway. Basically, there was an individual franchisee. I want to make that clear. So this is not against Subway corporate, but an individual franchisee that owned a Subway discriminated against a woman because she was pregnant. And this is in 2011. I'll read this case. It says the commission sued this Phoenix area Subway franchise under Title VII again, which because they refused to hire an applicant. The applicant applied to work at the franchise, but the general manager admitted to her that we can't hire you because you're pregnant. Like, how? First of all, it already just fired a general manager, right? Now, this could clearly be a training issue, but in that case, if I'm an owner, that general manager's gone. But general manager told her flat out, we can't hire you because you're pregnant. Well, to say the least, the district court entered partial. Basically, the district court in that area brought the case to the EEOC. And the jury concluded that the defendant had not discriminated against the applicant because of her pregnancy. Now, this was a jury made up of 5 men and 2 women, and eventually punitive damages were awarded for this discrimination. But initially, there was a judge that was not going to bring the case. There was a judge who initially said that this was not discrimination, but eventually they did find that there was discrimination, and punitive damages for the discrimination were awarded. But again, the purpose of today was to talk about pregnancy discrimination. And I hope that this information that I provided is helpful. I'm sure there is someone who knows someone who is pregnant, who may have been pregnant and maybe had a reduction in their responsibilities at work. But in any event, again, like I said at the top, information is useless if it's not utilized or shared. So hopefully this was information that can be used. If so, as always, we ask that you can reach out to us on our social media platform. You can reach me at I am Trey Evans on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. You can also reach us at the show podcast, which is the People's Voice Podcast. And of course, any comment that you have regarding what we talked about today is welcomed. So that is my time for today. As always, dreams are not just for sleeping. Please wake up and live your dreams. My name is Trey Evans, the People's Voice. Tell somebody about the dream. Salute.